Parents strongly caution the following programs are intended for mature audiences over the age of 18. These programs may contain some material that many parents would not find suitable for children and may include intense violence, sexual situations, coarse language, and suggestive dialogue.
Happy fucking Friday night. We're here with Rick Shaw from Never Rest, and I just found out formally if I wrestled a bear once.
Oh, yeah.
How's it going?
What up? How are y'all doing?
Excellent.
Great.
Excellent.
Great.
Awesome.
So before we get into, I told you a little bit before we came on, we kind of play a game, but I have to ask one damn question. How did you guys come up with the concept for the video for See You in a Shell?
So, see you with Shell. Starting with an Iwabo question. All right.
Yeah, I have to. It's literally one question I've always wanted to ask my whole life.
So See You in Shell was pretty much like the guy that directed some of our videos back then, Justin Beasley. I'm still friends with him. We talk about doing stuff, every now and then, but I'm poor, so it's hard to get shit together. But he is just plugged in with a few connections in his town, Greensboro, North Carolina. And pretty much he was like, we have a lot of ideas flying around whenever we hang out. And we were just talking about like who we could get and what we could do with it. And he was like, I could get Mr. Belding. He's like, I could get, Dennis Haskins from Saved by the Bell. And we were just like, dude, how about, and then from there it started, it's like a dance, a high school dance. Y'all are playing, and, like Justin's pitching that. And I'm like, yes, this is all, obviously there's more people that were in I Wrestled Bear Once too, but we were like, yeah, let's build off of the idea that we are playing a high school and Mr. Belding is the principal. So that's really where it all started. And just the way that band worked, as well as every band I will be in my life, you just start going, what we should do? We should do this. We should do that. That would be really stupid. That would be really fun, and that's the way it starts to happen. I know a lot of bands say a lot of things like that. We should do this and that, but then lots of normal bands are like, we gotta stick with the tough image. You know what I mean? So, but we were just like, hell yeah, I love Saved by the Bell, so let's do it.
I mean, that's what I liked was for the fact that you did that. And I kind of noticed in one of your videos I watched earlier, and that's when I was like, I'm like, it's got to be him. It's got to be him, because it had that same kind of like aesthetic to it a little bit, that like, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. We're going to have fun with this. And it's fun, and we don't give a shit. And it's like, you see all these music videos that come out with bands where they stick to like one aesthetic, and they do that aesthetic the whole time. But with like your band Never Rest, and even with I Wrestled a Bear Once, it was like balls to the wall, whatever the fuck we want to do. And it was going to be a fun ass video regardless.
Hell yeah. I mean, like, that's what I really think. I don't know, like when it comes to videos nowadays, I know that a lot of people really don't put that much into their videos anymore. Like, and I get that, like, let's focus on production and let's focus on making quality. And it's like, sometimes it's like, well, you need to work out the concept a little more too. The concept has to be quality as well as everything else, and I think that sacrificing the quality to make the content itself, like a little bit better, like, and funner, that's kind of like what obviously I would like the quality of every project that I do to be better too. But when you're poor, you're working with what you got.
I grew up as a huge fan of like B-rated horror films, like Trauma and shit. That. So I have a deep appreciation for it. And when I see stuff like that, like, I'm immediately like hooked into it, and I'm like, this is badass. I don't care if it only costed them $50. I fucking love this shit.
Hell yeah.
I don't give a shit what anybody says. All right, nice. So you got between 1 and 83. You can either roll the dice or you can pick the number yourself.
Let's see here. Between 1 and 83. Let's go 38.
38 is going to be, if you are out, are you doing the two-step or are you twerking your ass off?
All right. Most likely twerking, because I mean,
you gotta shake that moneymaker, right? I mean,
I don't have much of an ass, but I think everyone gets a kick out of someone with a Hank Hill ass trying to shake it on everyone. You know what I mean? So, yeah, my girlfriend says it's a little butt, but it's cute. You know what I mean? So I think I get a little more out if I twerk it. So
twerk it a little bit. All right.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes they say it's not about the size; it's about the motion in the ocean.
Oh, that's
right.
If
you're working right.
I mean, I got a lot of ass, and I can't twerk for shit.
See, you can have one or the other.
I can't even fucking dance. If I try to dance, I'm gonna end up in the goddamn hospital because I have no coordination at all.
Just do the dice move, do the dice move over.
Rolling the dice. Okay,
I'm serious white boy problems here. All right, there's no dancing. Dancing does not exist in my world. It's not going to happen. I can barely mosh, much less dance.
Right. My problem is I do know how to dance, but I have to be blackout drunk to do it. You know what I mean? So that's why I haven't danced in like 15 years. So
Gotcha.
All right. I got you. All right.
yeah.
So moving on. You want to roll or you want to pick?
You know what? Let's roll it this time.
All right.
Roll 46. If you could have any mentor on stage with you, who would it be?
Any mentor? Like on stage with me, like
Yeah, anybody you want, like your hero or, whatever.
I mean, my hero, my number one hero is
Who
Chino
is it?
from the Deftones.
Well, then, looks like you're jamming with Chino then.
I would love that.
Right?
I just bought tickets to go see Deftones in Orlando.
Nice.
And I've never got to see them. They've always been a bucket list band of mine.
Hell
And
yeah.
I just got tickets yesterday. And I'm just like, they're like, oh, who else is playing? I'm like, it doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter.
Don't even care.
Yeah, I'm a longtime Deftones fan, and they're just the most consistent band from that era. You know what I mean? Like every time they put out a record, there's at least a few bangers on it. And a lot of bands from that era have let me down a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, someone could be like, well, that Saturday Night Wrist wasn't a great album. And it's like, well, what about whole decades of bands not being good? But you're calling out Deftones for one album being like a little less quality. There was like 15 years where I couldn't listen to Korn. And then they put out what it's called. Is it like The Darkness or like The Great Nothing or something like that? That album was sick.
Yeah.
That album was sick. And it was like, wow, it only took 20 years to get me back into that.
I actually really liked Path of Totality. I liked the whole like, EDM and with I know a lot of people did.
Oh, yeah. That one actually was good and I hate to be slander, but for what they were doing at the time, that one was the best one. You know what I mean? Like you were like, yeah, this one grooves. So
yeah, I dug the shit. I know a lot of people hated the fuck out of it. Like could not stand it. They were bashing that just as bad as like Linkin Park's very last album when they were bashing the hell out of that.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, but you're expecting them to just kick out the same shit and they're trying to evolve.
Right.
So,
yeah. Can't put out the same
song.
songs.
No band was regurgitating the same album over and over and over and over.
Right.
So you got to do something new. I mean, not everybody can. I mean, you're a goddamn musical genius. I don't give a shit what anybody says. But fuck, shit you've been involved in is so fucking off the wall that you couldn't fucking mimic it even if you fucking tried.
Yeah, I don't. So it's funny. I listened to some of those old records and I'm like, how the fuck did we do? How did we come up with that one? Who did that one?
That's me every day when I listen to anything that you've done. It's like, what mind frame were they even in when they fucking did this shit? Like, I wish I could have just been sitting in the room when they fucking did this shit just so I could see
what happened. You see what happened was
it's just a bunch of stoners sitting around a computer. That's all it was, really.
Yeah.
Apparently, I didn't smoke enough because God,
you gotta stay with the sativas. You know what I mean? Like,
all right.
You can't be smoking indica and writing metal. You know, it's got to be.
Well, you can't write anything on indica. It's like. The first time I ever went to Vegas, I got super excited because I could go buy it legally. So I was staying at the Stratosphere and I was on tour, and we went over across the street because there's this dispensary called Cookies. And so we went over there and I'm like, I was used to like fucking dirt weed, like the same like Mexican red haired shit that you'd been smoking your whole life and whatever.
Right.
So I didn't even realize all these like strands and different flavor. Like I had no clue that shit even existed. I was completely fucking stupid. And I walk in and this girl's like, the one thing that you can remember about indica is indica equals indicouch. And Sativa, if you don't want to be indicouch, you want to go with sativa. And so then I started learning, like within that hour that I sat in there trying to decide what the fuck I was going to smoke, I learned a lot of shit that I had no fucking clue even existed.
Nice.
All right, so a little fucking bonus question. If you could tour with any 3 bands of your choice, who would it be?
Ooh, let's see here, dude. Are we talking about existing bands, or are we
No,
also pulling from
it could be either
anyone?
dead or existing, either one. Just as long as they're within your genre.
All right. Okay, well, let's start with I'm gonna pick Spirit Box just because I know them and I've toured with them before. And the last time I saw them, we had a blast. So one, I would say Spirit Box because also because they're like one of the fucking biggest bands in the US right now. So
Yes, they are.
yeah. Let me open. Let me open for you. Holla. But yeah, those guys are great and super sick live. Let's see here. 2, I'm not gonna answer Deftones because we already did that, So
Yeah.
So how about Loathe? I'll pull
Okay.
Loathe for that one. Loathe is super sick. I love that band so much, and they continue to get bigger, even though they like are still riding the wave from that one album they did in 2020. That's just like, I know it's amazing, but like, give me a new song already, right?
Right.
And I don't know. Let's see here. Who would I? It's like I asked that question, but like most bands are getting back together and shit now too. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna say for my third answer, I'm gonna say Poison the Well because
Oh my god, I haven't heard that in a long time.
yeah, Poison the Well is one of my favorite bands, and I take a lot of inspiration from their vocalist. And I saw them actually last year, and they were doing the You Come Before You anniversary of that album, and I saw them in LA, and it was amazing. I just like couldn't help but like jizz when I was standing there watching them. But it was a dream come true. So I would choose those 3 bands.
Yeah, I seen Poison the Well years and years, many years ago. I was living in Connecticut at the time, and I seen them at that, what's it called, the New England Hardcore Festival or
Yeah.
something, I believe.
Yeah.
And they were playing
metal and hardcore.
That's the only time I ever got to see them, and every time else I've tried to catch them, it just didn't happen.
Yeah,
all right, so want to roll or pick one?
Let's go with 7.
Number 7. Do you think artwork on albums are important, and why?
Yes, I think that they're very important. I actually kind of hate this like new wave. It's kind of come to an end, and like some people have got back on to doing art for all their singles and for their for their full lengths and stuff. But there was like this wave like happening where like every single and every album artwork was just like the plainest shit with like the the logo of the band and then the name, and it was so upsetting to see that happening, because like imagine buying that like deluxe CD, like going for the midnight release, like put some of those I don't care artworks that they're people are half-assing nowadays, and imagine opening your midnight release CD deluxe edition and folding out your nothing artwork. You know what I mean? It would have been like
Just
so
plain.
Disappointing. So but I'm from that era, so like I guess if you've never been in that era, you wouldn't know. You would be ignorant to like how cool it was to like fold out the art and read along to the lyrics and be like, this is the coolest artwork, because you could even talk about best artwork from the era and stuff like that. And I feel people can't even do that now with like certain genres, because they'll just be like, all these covers suck, and they're just literally just like logos. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
so
It's
yeah,
a
I think it's
street time.
very important. Yeah.
Right. We've talked about it 1,000 times on this show. Like when I was a kid, going into like FYE in my local record store, I used to pick albums strictly off the album artwork.
Oh yeah, for sure. This album,
Yes.
Yep.
I
That's what
remember seeing it at. So I grew up in Kansas, and the small ass little town. I worked at this movie theater, and right next door was a Hastings. And at Hastings, I would just, whenever I had nothing going on, I would just go in there and wander the CD aisle and just look at all the crazy shit. And I remember seeing the Slipknot album like at least a dozen times, and I was like, I just really want to listen to this. What is this? And one day I did buy it, and I was like, whoa, this shit is wild, dude. so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in Oklahoma, so we had
Okay.
Hastings too.
Yeah.
I used to go to Hastings because there's a Hastings like 2 blocks down from the house.
Mhm.
And I'd go down there, but I actually discovered Slipknot when I was much, much older. I think they were on there. They were going into the 3rd album by the time I found out
Okay.
who they were.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, I remember the first time I saw the album cover for the self-titled Slipknot, I was like, what ICP group is this? Right? I was like, and in my head, I remember thinking like, it's gonna be rap. It's gonna be like weird rap or something. And then someone I know was like, yes, Slipknot's like heavy as fuck. And I was like, what? And that's whenever I like went back and bought it. And I was like, I have to fucking find out what this sounds like. So, but yeah.
Yeah, the first time I ever seen them, I went to Atlanta to go see the Jägermeister music tour.
Nice.
Now, Slipknot was the headliner, but I was actually going for the 2 bands before because I knew them and I was big fans of both, which was Shadows Fall and Killswitch Engage. So I went for them, and me and my friends, we were going to leave. And I remember this big dude, this big motherfucker. He had to be like, I'm 6'1", and this guy towered over me. He's like 6'7", 6'8". And he was like, whoa, where are you going? I was like, well, we're going to go buy merch and leave because I don't even know who the fuck. He's like, no, trust me, because you're going to want to stay. And you're going to want to watch this band. And he was very adamant about it.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, I'll come to your table, sit down with you guys and talk you through this. And I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, I'll buy y'all a round of drinks if you stay. I'm like, okay. So he did. He went and bought a damn bucket of beer, brought over. We all sat down, and they started right off the bat with damn Heretics Anthem. I mean, right out the fucking gate. And Corey Taylor jumps up, and he's jumping on top of people's tables and grabbing their fucking hair and just screaming out. I'm like, holy shit.
Nice.
And he was right. And from that minute, I think I dropped an extra $300 and something that I wasn't planning on spending that night because I bought like 5 or 6 T-shirts and all kinds of shit. Well, I was addicted at that fucking point.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. So you want to roll or do you want to pick?
Let's roll this time.
All right. 13. If you had an unlimited budget, what kind of video would you make? So it can be literally anything, anywhere. So like a dream video. Like
let's see here.
Trust me, if you knew anything about this, even especially this guy's previous band, go watch Danger.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, just,
well,
backstroking some money.
It's funny to think about though, because like all of my ideas are on a budget. So like whenever you're like, you unlimited budget, what kind of video would you do? It's like, oh shit, I've never thought about that one because because there's a theme going today. I'm poor.
The realistic part.
But I don't know, like I I'm gonna give you just a teaser because I want to do this video and you can do it. You can do it on a budget, but like I think it would be really sick to have an unlimited budget, right? I have this idea because it's like The Ring, right? So
Alright.
if you've seen The Ring, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So for anyone who doesn't know, The Ring is a movie where you watch this mysterious videotape that's haunted, and then you have 7 days and something happens with the tape and it comes to kill you in 7 days, right? Anyways, same concept, but it's a little bit, messed around, flipped around or whatever. It's like a couple of people sitting around listening to music as the video is starting. So the music's already going and you have to like read the subtitles of what they're saying, but they're in a room and they're like, "Hey, so you like heavy music, right?" And then there's like, "Yeah, I really like heavy music." Like, I heard that there's a song with a breakdown in it so heavy that if you listen to it, it kills you. And they're like, "Oh my
No.
God." And then, one of them's like, "Oh, well, do you know Billy, whatever, Billy whatnot or whatever?" And like, I heard he died the other day listening to it. And like, so then you're cutting between like kind of like artsy performance shots and like them tracking down this fucking tape or whatever. And they go to like Billy what's his name's house and like, find this tape that was in his room and it was playing when he died. And then you get to the end breakdown in the song and they put the tape in, and when the breakdown starts, they literally die whenever they're listening to it. And like they're like, it's like The Ring. It's like their like eyes turn black and they're like, "Ugh."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is fucking awesome.
So I want to do that sometime, but like I said, a high budget version of it would be sick as fuck. But
Yeah.
All right. I got you. So, bonus question: what was that one point in your life, that one pivotal point that you decided you want to be a musician? Was it a band, a music video, something that happened? Like, what was that one moment that you're like, this is exactly what I want to do?
I don't think it was like a very particular moment, but I will say it might have been when I first heard Korn. Because I think that okay, so I grew up with an older brother. He's 6 years older than me, and whenever you back then, before the internet, you kind of just listened to whatever was around you, right? So you had like radio, you had like siblings that would show you stuff, you'd have friends that showed you stuff. But of course, when you're like super young, like most kids aren't even that into music, until a certain age, right? So
Right.
I remember my brother was very into like rap and R&B, and he did like a lot of bands and stuff, but it was like kind of like Van Halen and stuff like that. But I latched on to a lot of like the hip hop he was showing me and a lot of the R&B and stuff. But one of my buddies had moved. He actually moved to Oklahoma, so he moved to like the Oklahoma City area. And then he came back to like see me, to hang out with me and my family and stuff like that. Like, half a year later or something. And he's like, "Have you ever heard Korn?" And I'm like, "I think I have, but let's jam it." Because I think, the Blind had started becoming like something that you might hear on like MTV or like little the "Are you ready?"
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's like I think that I didn't realize that was like starting to be in my ear and stuff. But whenever he showed me on like the stereo and we just sat around and honestly smoked weed and listened to it, I was like, hell yeah. Like I want to do this. You know what I mean? Like it'd be so cool just to like rock out. So and
I got another
that's what
bonus
happened.
question. I got another bonus question for you.
Okay.
What made you switch from being a bass player to vocals?
Okay, so funny story. I always wanted to do vocals, but
Okay.
whenever I first, okay, it's kind of a long story to like give you the fun parts of it. I wanted to do vocals, and I had a friend. His name was Justin, and he played guitar. And we both lived in Kansas together, and he went to the same school as me. And we would always be like, man, like I want to let's learn to play some music. Like let's do something. So he started playing guitar, and I would just like, I didn't even have a PA or anything. I would just like scream along or whatever, or like to the songs we knew or sing the parts. And then I ended up moving to Texas. So whenever I when I first moved to Texas, I met pretty much started working, and like a lot of people, knew I liked heavy music, this and that. And I would always run into this particular guy at like Walmart, and he would always kind of like give me this look, and he was always like wearing like Coal Chamber shirts and shit, right? And then one of my friends that I worked with was like, "Oh, you should meet my friend Lee. He plays guitar, right?" At the same time, my friend Justin moved from Kansas to Texas with me. And so then he started playing, he would play guitar and stuff. And then I was introduced to my friend Lee. Lee had a band, and it was like a 4-piece, right? And they were like, "Hey," like after we started hanging out, they're like, "Hey, you wanna be in our band?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but you guys already have a vocalist. I want to do vocals." And he was like, "Doesn't your roommate have a bass?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess he does have a bass, and he has a practice cab, right?" So they were like, "How about you and your roommate join our band? He could play second guitar, and then you could play bass." And then like I started jamming with them just for fun. And then my roommate bailed on rent for 2 months in a row. And he was like, "Take my bass, take my cab. It's all yours." And so then that's really what started me playing bass, because it was
Okay.
just there. It was just there, right? And then fast forward, like we had some lineup. That band was called Surrounded by Monsters. We had some lineup changes, whatever, but we started doing a lot of shows with Statues Cry Bleeding. Statues Cry Bleeding was like the members of I Wrestled Bear Once before it became I Wrestled Bear Once. So
Okay.
we would all trade shows and like party together, and so we all knew each other very well. And then at one point in time, like that band kind of disbanded, and Steven called me one day and was just like, "You should check out my new band that we started." Like it was like him, Krista, and John, and so pretty much they were like, "Yeah, check out my new band. It's called I Wrestle Parents." I'm like, "Okay, that's dumb, but I'll check it out." And then I'm like, "Yo, I'm really into that." He's like, "Yeah, let's trade shows." Start trading shows again, and then he talks about how his bass player got arrested for having like 3 grams of weed on them.
Oh,
And
no.
so he, for 3 grams of weed,
Whoa.
all in individual bags. So he really got
For shame.
Oh,
yeah.
got that nice little distribution
Yeah,
charge.
yeah. So then so they invited me to be in their band, right? Anyways, so that's how I really started playing bass at the time, right? Because it was just like, there's a bass. I got screwed over by my roommate. He's giving me the bass, and I know people in bands that want a bass player, right? So then
Yeah.
I realized after I'd been in Iwabo for so long, I realized I knew like, other than Iwabo and Surrounded by Monster songs, I knew like 10 other songs total. So I was like, "Oh wow, I learned how to play an instrument," and I literally just played original music like the most of the time because I was in the bands that did it. Anyways, the whole time I still was like, "I want to do some vocals," and they would be like, "Yeah, do some backup screaming and all this shit." Okay. And then after Iwabo ended, I moved back to Texas, and I was living in Denton, and my friend Justin, that originally was playing guitar, he was like, during the pandemic, he was like, "Hey, we should just write a bunch of music for fun." And he was like, "You could do vocals just like we used to do whenever we first moved to Texas." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Hell yeah, let's do it." So if you look it up, we did like an EP, and it's under Phantom Figures. figures being or Phantom FIG or sorry FANTOM Phantom figures. You could look that up. It's still online. We just did it for fun, and just got to reconnect and kind of like come full circle with how we both came to Texas with the mentality of starting a band for ourselves or whatever. And so that's pretty much how I started doing vocals. And whenever I moved to Austin, within the first, I guess it was like 2 years after I'd been in Austin, I remember I was randomly friends with Ramey, our bass player, just in passing, because he was like a fan of I Wrestled a Bear Once, and sometimes he would like comment on some of my shit, and we would like have a laugh. And I started seeing him at shows, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I know you. You like sometimes you say what's up on my Facebook and shit." And he's like, "Yeah." So we started drinking beers together whenever I'd see him at shows. And then I saw on his feed one day, it was like, "Does anyone know anyone that does vocals? Like my band's looking for someone that does it." And I was like, "Hey, I've never like done it. I've never done it professionally. I've never done it live. I've never like done it consistently, but I do dabble." And he was like, "Well, you should come jam with us." And the funny thing is I was like very adamant. I was like, "I'm a busy person. I have a job." At the time I was married. I just don't know if I'll do it. He's like, "Well, just come and jam." And I was like, "All right, but it's probably going to be a no thing. I just want to have some fun." "Cool, come jam." I show up, we all meet, I jam a couple of songs because he had sent me, the songs that they're playing in their set. And we just went through a couple of songs, and they were like, "So do you want to be in our band?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll be in your band."
All right.
So,
Cool.
yeah, but it was so funny that like there was probably like a 10 count of me saying, "I'm probably not gonna be in your band. I am just gonna be here for fun. I am way too busy to take on a band." Like, "You want to be in our band?" "Yes, I do."
Yes, thank you for asking.
I know. I get it. I've been there myself, so I totally understand. But hey, I'm glad you're back at it. So that is awesome. So
And it is fun.
another
Very
bonus
fun.
question. We're big horror film fans, so we'll see
Nice.
what you are with this one. And we ask it every time, and we love the answers that we get. You're going to be locked in a house for 24 hours with any horror icon of your choice. Who would it be? Of course, you got to keep in consideration, do you want to die really fast, or do you want a chance of survival?
There's other ways, I'm telling you.
You shut up. You shut your mouth right now, you cheater.
Okay. So I'm gonna drop my 2 favorite horror movie icons, but I'm gonna start with my favorite. I'm gonna say Freddy Krueger. There's a possible chance that we might get along. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, like, I don't sleep much, but when I do, like if we're gonna hang out and you're gonna try to kill me, you like saying bitch to people. I say bitch to my managers all the time, so let's get together. Let's say bitch together. Listen, I was a big Michael Jackson fan. He's got a glove. You got a glove. Hang out. Let's talk about our favorite gloves, But my second favorite horror icon is Chucky, though, and I feel like we'd get to,
I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one.
Right. And if when it comes to Chucky, I think I could survive if I really wanted to. You could probably outrun him or like kick him. So
yeah, that's a pretty popular answer. For me, it's like either Leprechaun, just give him the goddamn gold and call it a fucking day.
Yeah.
Or Creature from the Black Lagoon. It's a fucking fish. Can only breathe out of water for so fucking long.
Right. Hell yeah.
So just outrun the motherfucker And if you ever watch goddamn Monster Squad, he's slow as shit. So that ain't gonna be hard to do. He's gonna fucking die.
Hell yeah.
Done. And, yeah, go ahead, Mojo. Go ahead. Talk your shit. Go ahead.
Hey, I can't help it that I'm trying to survive. I'll do an easier one this time. Fine. I'll hang out with some vampires and just leave the lights on. Nightlight. Hello.
UV light.
She fucked us up like a couple of days ago. She's like, Christine, and I'm just not gonna get in the car. Like, fucking asshole.
Well, honestly, the best answer so far has been Elvira. I'm taking that one. I'm running with it.
Oh yeah, dude.
That was great,
Elvira. Yeah.
That was a great answer.
I think that was one of the guys from 7. That was last night.
Yep. Yeah, that was last night. That was a great answer. I was proud of that answer.
All right,
that is a good answer.
On that one.
That was a good answer. It was a very good answer.
Or you know who's really sexy? I've always thought about this. You ever seen 13 Ghosts?
Yes.
The naked chick with the big boobs. You know?
I
was always like, yeah, 13 Ghosts is good because of that.
Yeah.
Big booby blonde girl.
When you're a teenager, you're like, oh shit.
You're like, kill me now. Kill me.
It's like,
I will go with you.
Oh shit. I'm right there with you on that one. All right. So you want to roll or do you want to pick?
Let's roll it.
25. The least favorite interview question. Dun, dun.
I don't know. I've done a lot of good interviews because like they don't want to talk about standard band stuff. You know what I mean? Like standard band stuff always ends up making it sound like the interviewer doesn't know anything about bands and just sticks to some things that they wrote down or whatever.
Well, it's like being interviewed for a job.
Right.
It's like you would fucking job interview.
Right. Like, so what does your music have to offer the general public? Like, shut up. I don't like this. Like, I don't know. I think that in I Wrestled a Bear Once, the most hated things is like, they would always say, I have to ask who won. And all of us would just be like, oh God, no.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
And it would just be like, everyone would be like, skrr. Okay, next question.
I wouldn't even have thought of that.
I mean, if you're an Iwabo fan, period, you know where the band name came from. Like you
exactly.
Know. So if you actually knew the band and listened to the band and knew any kind of background of the band, you already fucking knew. So yeah, that would be a little irritating.
Yeah. Yes, sir. That was. I would say that's the worst. Because like as well as interviewers would say that, but like people on the street would say it all the time too, and it would just be like, okay, gotta go, buddy. Like people would be like, hey, you got a van and trailer, y'all a band or something? And you're like, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. What's the name of it? It's called I Wrestled a Bear Once. I have to ask who won, and then you're like, all right, mister, I'm going inside now.
I'll see you later. See you.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to roll or do you want to pick?
Let's pick this time. Let's go 41.
41.
All right. Where and how have you ever fallen off stage for the first time?
Oh shit!
You rocked so hard, you walked off the stage.
I think I have actually fallen. Like when you go to the front of the stage sometimes and you're a bass player, you might like try and throw your bass around, but you forget that thing's like 50 pounds. So one time I definitely like went for one of those and it like pulled me with it. So I just fell into the crowd. So that was probably I They did catch me, but it was
Oh,
probably
that's
the scariest moment because I've always never had the nerve to jump into the crowd. I've always thought I'm wearing a base, I could hurt someone, and I also used to be a fat kid, so I still see myself way bigger than I actually am. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
I could kill a kid if I fall on them.
right.
No, I've done the same thing. I actually fell off backwards, and everybody caught me.
Yeah.
And of course, it looked good. Like it looked like I did it on purpose.
Yeah.
But once they got me back up there, and we got done with the set, we're walking off stage because I played bass, and they're like, "Did you mean to do that?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." No, I did not.
I think the one that happened for me more often in my life is like if the drum riser was like a certain height, I would always back up into it and then fall straight on my ass and my legs would kick out. And I would always feel so dumb because it's like such a bat baby kind of fall. You know what I mean? Like you're just
Right.
like, you're like, wow.
I got you.
Yeah.
So, trick question. I kind of asked a portion of this question earlier, and I usually
Okay.
ask it after, but I split it.
Yeah.
If you could tour with any three bands completely out of your genre, not even within your genre, not even close, who would you go with?
Out of the genre. And
Yeah.
this also is anyone, even if they're not alive, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
anyone.
All right. So out of genre, I would tour with. Let's start with Michael Jackson.
Okay.
There you go.
He's the king of fucking pop, and people say he did all those bad things, but when you're the king, you do whatever you want, right? Like in medieval times. Anyways, that's
Right.
just a joke I have. I don't condone anything weird like that. Okay. But Michael Jackson, and then I would definitely do Queen.
Okay.
That'd be a good
Fucking
one
love
too.
Queen. I know that they're still around, but it's just not the same without Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
Right.
I honestly, there's a part of me that hates that they're like, we're doing a big reunion with the guy from what was it? The Voice. You're just like,
Oh yeah.
Wow.
this is
Mm-mm.
not the same. But yeah, original lineup of Queen, Freddie and all. Let's see here. One other one. Let's do Weird Al.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Weird Al.
That's cool.
Step
All
up a
right.
little bit.
I
Hell
dig
yeah,
it.
dude.
I dig it. So Queen, Weird Al, you got one more.
Michael
Michael
Jackson.
Jackson.
Oh yeah, Michael Jackson. Okay. I forgot that.
Hell yeah.
All right, gotcha.
What a poster that would be.
Right? It'd be an interesting
You're like-
poster.
I mean,
Oh, you can do some stuff with that poster.
Oh yeah.
I could think of some very bad things that would be on that.
That
poster.
Unfortunately, I think all of us have the same issue.
Hey,
Good cover, though. It'll be a
Yeah.
great cover.
I don't know how. It might be great. Might.
I don't know. We all went silent, and we all went there.
We're all
You
on
know,
the same page.
Just
I'm not.
bad.
Let's not say anything out loud. We gotta.
Nope, just read the page.
We're just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. All
You
right,
could
so
just imagine, guys, right? You just
Yeah,
imagine.
use your imagination.
Your imagination.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to roll or you want to pick?
Let's roll it this time.
33. Best advice to give someone who is just starting out.
Oof. This one's tough because it's almost like I'm starting out again too. So I would say, and I'm trying to live by all these rules too. You just have to do shit all the time. You know what I mean? Like you got a bunch of time off and you need to be working on your craft. You know what I mean? Like it's like you got the band going, then you need to always be focusing on new songs. You need to always come up with plans for releasing your songs. These are all things I'm projecting because the band itself is working on all these things. You need to understand that playing live in your own city is good every now and then, but you know, every person in the world isn't looking at the stage on a venue every day. They're looking at their phone every day. So like you have to remember that like you got to make content to show off your songs, to show off your video, to show off your personality. You have to keep all that shit in front of people and keep building, your brand. I hate whenever people say that, but it's true. Like, you know what I mean? Like nowadays, it's all independent and you got to prove that everyone likes your music with the actual numbers that happen on the internet. So, and it's like obviously playing live shows is the final, the final part of it. Like you got to treat every show like it's a special show. Don't take too many. Don't try and do too much because the internet is going to help you become, what you want it to be. So I've been trying to preach that about the band that I'm in is like you could go and play your same hometown every month, but that's only going to hurt you in the long run because everybody starts going, this is that one band who opens for everyone. And, we'll see them at every show we ever go to. So I don't even have to buy a shirt because I'll see them again. You know what I mean? Like, so you just have to create demand by showing them. I don't know. It's like the type of thing too, where like whenever the last time we did put out a song and then we put out like a guitar playthrough and then we put out a drum playthrough and then we like, had some clips of the videos floating around. Like I had people come up and being like, yo, your band is doing so good right now. And I'm like, like from my humble, I think we could do better all the time perspective. And honestly, we're not doing that much. It's like just for someone to have clips and videos like being mentioned to them online, they already perceive you as doing better, as doing crazy stuff. You're out there doing it. And it's like, so whenever somebody thinks that playing the live show all the time is what's affecting you, it's like, it's probably the internet, because the internet is where everyone goes to look for all their entertainment, whether it's music or movies or whatever. Like, and then once we latch on to things, we go see it live. We go see that movie that we've been fucking researching all week, all month. We go to the theater where it's showing. So it should be the same with bands. Like we obsess over finding a new song. We obsess over a certain video, and then we start checking out more music from that band, and then we find out there's a show and we make it like a celebration. You know what I mean? So but yeah, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm projecting when I say all that too, because it's taken a little time for my guys in Never Rest to kind of understand that too.
Right.
But ultimately it sucks in a way, but all eyes are on the internet. You know what I mean? And that's where you're gonna be like, hey, look at me. Hey, look, I'm on the internet too. So
well, I mean, I'm sure it's nice for them, for having somebody like you that's been with, on the major label, and you've done that, you've been there, you've done it, and you can kind of take all that information and everything you learned in Iwabo and direct that towards Never Rest.
Right. And it's just, I don't know, it's a no matter what is going on, it's all up in the air. You're like, the harder you work, the easier it's going to be for you to get out there. You know what I mean? So, and you could still also work your ass off and never really get the clout you want. We live in a confusing time. And for me, we've gotten to a point where I feel like I just have to be creating stuff or I'm going to fucking lose my mind. So,
right.
Yeah.
That's where
Your ideas are overflowing.
Yeah, I don't know if I could swear. I just realized that I haven't sweared this whole.
You could have been swearing the whole time.
Yeah. Well, shit.
Our shit in our radio station, everything's uncensored, so you could.
Right.
Hell yeah, dope.
There is a warning at the beginning of the show.
Exactly.
Hell yeah,
there's a fucking warning, so it is what it is. All right, so before we get into, we always play the band's one of their videos at the end of it, but of course, the last question we're going to ask before we go, which isn't really a question. Where do you guys like to talk to your fans the most? Where can they get your music? And most importantly, if you have merch, where can they get that?
So, we have an Instagram, we have a Facebook, we have a Big Cartel. We mainly talk to, like lots of our people on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. I do have, so let's start right here. Sorry, so many things going through my brain. I also have a podcast personally called Nerding Out with Rickshaw. We talk about a lot of music stuff, and then we kind of talk about some pop culture stuff. And it's mainly just a reason for me and a couple of music friends to get together and talk a bunch of shit about stuff and laugh. And I have that going on everywhere you could get streaming. We have the audio versions up, but I also do it on. Sometimes we do it on Twitch. We're talking about doing more on Twitch, and we do it on YouTube. I've been handling the YouTube for a long time, so then that leads me to also handling the Never Rest YouTube, and we've started putting out videos on there. And I talk to random people on there whenever they're talking about comments and stuff. But I think that the most traffic that we talk to people on is Facebook and Instagram. And like I said, there is a Big Cartel where you could buy our merch on there. And we're in the process right now of writing we have 5 new songs. This is the time of year where we have pretty much canceled all the shows in Austin that we're doing. We have a couple of out of town shows coming up, but we are going to work on all 5 of these songs. We're going to get them all done. And then we're going to start working on release dates. We're going to start working on a couple of videos for a couple of the singles. And we're also going to start doing playthroughs for vocals, guitar, drums. And so right now it's been a little quiet on all the Never Rest social media, but soon we are going to start ramping it up. And, some of these, you might see the breakdown that kills people. You might see that in the future in a video. But yeah, that's where you can find all of our stuff. We're gonna have some new merch up along with every single that comes out, and along with the EP. I'm sure once we start talking about that, we'll have all sorts of stuff lined up for everybody to grab up. So,
all right, fantastic. So on that, for all of you that are watching, because there's quite a few of you watching right now, here is Never Rest with the video for Death Saves.
Hey, we're closed. No, let's close. We're closed. Hey, get out of here, kids. Hey. No home alone. No Joe Dirt. Out of here. Go. Put a token on both your eyes! Regret the death!